Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about how much money are parents actually spending on youth sports. It has become a huge industry. We're going to talk about all the details next. Some of you might be surprised to find out just how much money parents are spending. Some of you won't. We're going to be talking about that. Why? What is the motivation to spend all this money? What's the benefits that are happening beyond sports? And is it just sports, or are they spending it on art and dance and performing arts and all these other things? And beyond that, what are the value that you're getting? All these kind of topics, that's what we're going to be covering in this video. If you're like me and you're a parent who loves sports and wants your kids involved with sports, the pressure to spend money on sports development is growing significantly. Since 2019, which is actually the year my youngest graduated high school, to now, there's been a 46% increase in those costs for families. On average, at the low end of the scale, parents have been spending $1,500 per child per sport per year. So if you wanted your child experimenting with many sports, which is a very good thing, that's $4,500 per child per year on the low end. More expensive sports like gymnastics or hockey can be 10 times that. If you really want to try to get them onto, because they show some promise, onto a top travel team, top travel baseball team, or AAU basketball team, it can be $15,000, $20,000. It is out of control, in my personal opinion. But that is the pressures that families are under and the expenses to get their children involved in sports. So as a parent who first bought into this when my oldest son was in 8th grade, because he was showing promise as a baseball pitcher, was quickly disillusioned and understood so much of this was hype. But again, my own personal experience with that. But the reasoning was, and the thought being, you need to compete against higher level competition than your local leagues can provide to raise your level of skill. And there is truth to that, right? You do get better by playing against better competition. But to automatically assume this travel team, because they are playing teams from away, are playing better competition is a myth. It's not automatically true. That 8th grade year, my son, we played some teams that were mediocre because they organized to try to play teams from other state with the same belief, but the skill set of those kids weren't significantly better just because they were on a travel team. It just meant that the parents were willing to spend the money to organize that team and to travel more. So there's no guarantee, and you really want to be asking the right questions and checking really out the level of competition that they're actually competing against. So that's going to be all part of this. But the idea is, kind of behind this is, all right, by learning to be really good at sports and developing that skill, what are the benefits of that? Just participating in sports, you build character and leadership. We've talked about that. But there's this kind of hidden agenda, too, that you might be able to play in college. But to get there, you've got to get noticed, and you've got to play against better competition to show that you can do that. There's a little bit of truth to that, and they certainly begin to market that to parents. Like, we're going to attend a showcase event, and all these college coaches are going to be there, and you'll be able to get noticed. All of those things are what's factoring in and driving parents to say yes to these expenses. All right, so parents are trying to help their kids foster skill sets that are going to help benefit them in life. something that we all want to do with parents. So we've kind of fallen into this belief that we need to hire the best, which, again, we all get that. And the costs begin to add up and up. You're trying to get the best baseball lessons, basketball lessons, find the best coaches, music, dance, theater, tutoring for the academics, all of these things, right? You could be spending $1,500 a semester for a tutor, dance lessons, private dance. I mean, the list goes on and on. Whatever area your child's finding their passion, you're trying to encourage them. That's all good. What you really want to begin to be wary of and be thinking about is how young you're starting to specialize and what you can do locally to build community, which is being lost in all this, particularly with the sports. All this push to regionalize and travel all over the place. You're losing a sense of community, and that loss is irreplaceable. All right? So what we got to begin to think about as parents, as community members, is how to take what was once the domain of local pride and tradition and still get the benefits of what parents are seeking, even at young ages. So again, from sports, I'm going to talk about the lessons I learned. My oldest son, 8th grade, uh, that's still too young. The college coaches and people, they aren't looking at a 14-year-old who hasn't even gone through his growth spurt yet to figure out whether he's going to be worthy of playing college ball. My youngest son did play with an outlier in that. Somebody who at 14 was an elite athlete. Like there was no doubt this kid was going to be a top tier athlete. He's an outlier. That's rare. Most of the other kids he played with, and with him, no travel baseball. We did local baseball, Babe Ruth baseball, traveled through the baseball all-star team. We did that. He didn't do travel baseball till his junior summer as he's getting ready to go into college. And that experience was much different than my oldest son, who did do travel baseball one more time his senior year. He had already knew where he was going to go to college, but now he wanted to play against higher level competition before he went into college. Great summer for him. Those kind of experiences might be a little bit more worth the money. But in my personal experience, professional opinion, high school, maybe. Pre-high school, unless you are an elite athlete, and I'm seriously talking elite, stay local. Build up the local. Work on developing those skills locally. You'll benefit in so many more ways. So one of the other great challenges with this movement towards travel teams in all sports is governing bodies and control and keeping the integrity of things. And what I mean by that is just about anybody can start a travel team and then go to these various tournaments and join AAU, let's say, and it can become very political, right? So getting opportunities. If you're a good athlete, sure, every coach around wants you. Oh, you come play for us. We'll try to, we'll give you a scholarship, but you won't have to pay anything. And these have happened, right? Like I know that young athlete I talked about who played with my son, that happened. He got a chance at a very early age didn't come from any money, to play on elite travel teams because he was such a phenomenal athlete. All right, he became a second-round draft pick in the MLB draft out of high school. All right, so he was that good of an athlete. Those people have no issues. A very good friend of mine who works at Clemson University, and in that area, Little League isn't. It's not really done. It's travel baseball began at like 9 years old. And the problem was, well, if you weren't from the right family, had the right connections, you didn't necessarily get much playing time. Again, unless you were really good, like his son was, then you might be able to crack the starting lineup. But even then, there's some tensions because, one of the right family members thought their son might be, he might be as good as this child. And all that can come up when there's no governing bodies. And it can be a real issue, a real challenge. The other thing at the high school level with AAU basketball, what began to be an issue was kids could play AAU basketball, might be really good, not playing their high school team, and still because they were so good, there was no now academic guidelines, so they could play regardless of how they might be doing in their school academics and still have an opportunity to get themselves noticed in a way that college might be a possibility, even if it went first through the junior college because of the academic differences, and then on to another college. So all these become big issues with this whole youth sports travel team movement. All right, so that wraps up another video. Please subscribe to my channel and make some comments. For this subject, I would love to hear your comments, your experiences. Put that down, get engaged, and I'll see you in another video.